tornadoes and other dangerous impacts. There are risks all across Los Angeles, from mud flows in our hills to our flooded streets, downed trees, and fallen power lines. We are leading an all-hands-on-deck approach to keep people safe across the city and to stem mudslides and similar impacts that could slow down rebuilding in the Palisades. In certain areas, individuals have been told they need to evacuate, but I will say, because of the work of the Los Angeles Police Department, if you reside in a home where you need to evacuate, the LAPD has knocked on your door and left a door hanger. So individuals have been contacted if they need to evacuate. City crews have installed concrete barriers and sandbags to stop mud flows. The fire department has pre-positioned swiftwater rescue and urban search and rescue teams, bulldozers, and other resources. DWP crews are activated to respond to power outages, and LAPD officers are checking on critical infrastructure and are ready to facilitate evacuations. We are staying on top of the storm here in the Emergency Operations Center, and with crews deployed citywide, we ask Angelenos to stay vigilant also. I also want to share with you some important updates from recovery from the fires. Phase 2 debris removal has begun months ahead of schedule, and we are pushing forward to rebuild as quickly and, of course, as safely as possible. Today, we are opening the impacted worker and family recovery centers. There will be 4 of them around town. To identify the center near you, go to lacity.gov. And so we would say to people in the Palisades, if individuals who worked for you on your property or in your home are individuals who worked in the commercial area, we want to make sure that you have resources as well. Yesterday, our one-stop center opened where 12 city departments are located in an area so people can begin the permitting process and the planning process to get rebuilding done. So for Angelenos, please stay safe out there and let us know, and we will let you know more information about the storm as it develops. Thank you very much, and let me introduce Dr. Cohen from the National Weather Service.
Thank you very much for having me here, Mayor. My name is Dr. Ariel Cohen, and I'm the meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service of Los Angeles. Exactly as the Mayor mentioned, we need to be at a high state of readiness and vigilance as we head through the afternoon and evening hours across the greater Los Angeles area. Even as late as the mid-morning hours, there's still a large range of possibilities that could play out with the weather this afternoon and evening. This is not a high-confidence scenario. At the very least, we are expecting there to be minor debris flows, mudslides, as well as rock slides and flooding across the greater Los Angeles areas. Debris flows across the burn scars, as far as at least minor ones, and mudslides and rock slides in any areas of steep terrain across the greater Los Angeles area. However, as we head through the 4 to 9 p.m. time frame this afternoon into the evening hours, we are expecting a strong weather system to move through and will bring the potential for areas of very heavy rainfall to impact the region. Now, exactly where the heaviest rain occurs, there's still a lot of question marks about that. However, if those heavy rain areas set up over some of the burn scars, such as the Palisades burn scar, Eaton burn scar, and other burn scars across the greater Los Angeles area, there will be the potential for very severe debris flows to occur in addition to mudslides and rock slides. Again, that's an uncertain situation, far from certain right now, but everyone needs to be at a high state of readiness as we head through the afternoon and evening hours, have multiple ways to receive emergency alert information from the National Weather Service, emergency management, and law enforcement, so that if you do have an evacuation warning or order issued for your area, you take those orders and warnings very seriously. We're not going to necessarily be sure about significant debris flows occurring until potentially right before they occur. So already be thinking about now the what-if scenarios. What would happen if that warning or order comes? Do you know where you'd go? Do you know what you'd do to take those immediate protective actions to save your life and those of your loved ones? Be thinking now about the possibilities. There's a chance that we get through this event without any significant impacts at all. That's a definitive possibility and would be a very fortunate outcome. However, as we know with weather, there are uncertainties, even at this late hour. So everyone should be prepared. If you're in a vulnerable location, not only in the burn scars, but especially the burn scars, but anywhere around steep terrain where mudslides and rock slides could occur, now is the time to be preparing. Also, with flooding being a definitive possibility across a larger portion of the greater Los Angeles area, remember, never drive through flooded roadways. You never know how deep the water may be. It only takes a couple feet of floodwaters to cause vehicles to get stranded and to be life-threatening. Do not drive through flooded roadways. Turn around, don't drown if you see flooded roadways. And then I want to mention also, when this weather system comes through, it's going to be a quick burst of this activity in that 4 to 9 p.m. time frame, and will also be accompanied by the risk for damaging wind gusts, possibly from severe thunderstorm-like impacts. So, no expectation that these will occur, but the possibility for sporadic damaging winds does exist, potentially with some lightning, but even without lightning or thunder, we are looking at the risk for some damaging wind gusts. That activity would be capable of downing trees and power lines and interfering with other ongoing recovery efforts across the area. So everyone should be prepared and do what it takes in order to mitigate losses due to trees coming down, power lines coming down, and never go near a power line that goes down. As we head into the late evening hours, especially after 9 or 10 p.m., the rain will be pushing east and south of the greater Los Angeles area, although we'll still have on and off intermittent, moderate to occasionally heavy rain persisting through the pre-dawn and perhaps morning hours of Friday that could exacerbate any ongoing flooding issues if they were to occur. Again, my main point here is there's still a lot of uncertainty in exactly what's going to play out. There's a large range of scenarios that extend from at least minor flooding and debris flows that are on the minor side, mudslides and rock slides, all the way up to something significant or extreme occurring. A lot of uncertainty in exactly what plays out. So now is the time to be weather ready. Now is the time to be thinking about what you do to protect your life and those of your loved ones. Thank you for having me.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Kristen Crowley, Fire Chief of Los Angeles City Fire Department. Thank you all for being here. And as we know, the current storm has already arrived. Your Los Angeles City Fire Department wants to assure the public that we are fully engaged in our preparedness, our planning, and response to keep our communities safe. Our top priority is to protect lives, property, and critical infrastructure from the potential impacts of these heavy rains, flooding, and mud and debris flows. Rainfall of this intensity can cause mudslides in any hillside areas of the city. I want to make sure we talk about that. This is a widespread event that could impact a lot of different areas within the city, but especially hazards in and around the areas that have recently burned. Much has been done to prepare for these potential catastrophic rains. We urge all residents, especially those in the hillside and low-lying areas, to remain vigilant and prepared. Now, the LEFD has been preparing for this event over the past few days. In partnership with the California Office of Emergency Services, Cal OES, these specialized resources have been strategically pre-positioned since yesterday so that they could immediately respond to these storm-related types of emergencies and calls for service. We have pre-positioned these specialized resources to include swift water teams strategically located near high-risk flood zones, urban search and rescue teams with heavy equipment to respond to debris flows and structural collapses, additional fire engines and crews assigned to high-risk neighborhoods, particularly those impacted by our recent wildfires. Helicopters are on standby for rapid reconnaissance and aerial rescues if needed. We're working in close coordination with our other city and county departments to address potential hazards before they escalate. Now, the LAFD is also staffing our Emergency Operations Center that's at a level 2 and our LAFD Department Operations Center as well. Now, a real important message that we need to spend a little bit of time on is the cooperation from the citizens of Los Angeles and how important that is during this weather event. We must all remain vigilant. You heard that word a couple times already. We cannot let our guard down. Increased wind and rain, and as we know, then can also increase the likelihood of driving hazards as well. Exercise caution if you must go out. Avoid bodies of water, no matter how calm they look. Especially avoid any moving water, and be on the lookout for downed power lines and trees. The My LA 311 system is available to report non-emergency problems, and that's an important point for the community to know, because this system helps your first responders prioritize precious resources for life-saving emergencies. Also, signing up for the alerts at lafd.org/alerts will allow you to receive timely and accurate information. If you live or travel in the hillside areas that may be in danger of landslides, you must be prepared for an evacuation order or alert from the Emergency Management Department. I want to take just a brief moment to thank all of our LAFD firefighters, LAPD officers, our other first responders, and every single city department that continues to work as one city family to maintain services to our residents and visitors of Los Angeles. Thank you to Mayor Bass and the Los Angeles City Council for your leadership and as well as your continued support. And most of all, we'd like to thank the residents for being prepared and ready. Let me be very, very clear. Your LAFD is well prepared, fully prepared, and ready to respond to any emergency caused by this storm. I'm very, very proud of your LAFD as they are highly trained and fully committed to keeping our communities safe. Thank you, everyone. And next, I have the actual honor to introduce LAPD Chief McDonald.
Thank you, Chief Crowley. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here and getting the message out to the public. Our top priority is public safety, and with the incoming storm, we've taken proactive measures to ensure the residents in high-risk areas are evacuated. Last night, LAPD personnel worked through the evening conducting door-to-door notifications for houses under mandatory evacuation orders due to the risk of mudslides and mud flow. Residents in the Palisades, Hearst, and Sunset fire areas who are not under mandatory evacuation remain on evacuation warning. What you've heard throughout this is to be ready. The state of readiness is critical to being able to survive a major event should it go in the wrong direction. We have a squad of 2 sergeants and 20 units were deployed last night in the Palisades area to notify residents to ensure they received the evacuation order. Hollywood and Foothill divisions conducted similar efforts in the Sunset and Hearst fire zone areas. If residents were not home, officers posted notices and documented their efforts to ensure accountability on that front. Additionally, residents in affected homes received wireless emergency alerts on their phones. Currently, as of this morning, mandatory evacuation orders remain in effect for 106 homes in the Palisades area, 9 homes in the Sunset area, and 4 homes in the Hearst area. These are mandatory evacuations, not warnings. Residents must leave for their safety. If an officer did not notify you in person or you did not receive an alert and notice posted at your residence, you remain in an evacuation warning area rather than a mandatory evacuation zone. Starting this morning at 7 o'clock, no contractors were allowed into the burn area until that order is lifted. Residents who evacuate will not be allowed to return until it's deemed safe to do so. Traffic control points are in place and officers have a list of impacted homes. Pacific Coast Highway remains closed and is only open to disaster response personnel. We have coordination with our partner agencies, and I'll give you just a rundown on some of the deployment. For AWatch, we have 1 lieutenant, 6 supervisors, and 42 officers from LAPD, as well as 3 sergeants and 30 officers that are in the area to provide assistance with evacuation should the need arise. We still have our National Guard partners, 93 deployed, 10 today are on foot beat and 26 on traffic control points. And our partners from the California Highway Patrol, we have a lieutenant, 2 sergeants, and 27 officers, and they're doing crime suppression activities. So we're very thankful to be able to have had for so long the partnership of these agencies, National Guard, CHP in particular. The idea is we're ready for what may occur and able to adapt to circumstances that may arise. We want to thank our officers, the CHP, the National Guard, for their efforts overnight, ensuring that every resident received a direct notification. We understand that evacuations are difficult, but this is all about keeping our community safe. We ask for everyone's cooperation in following these orders to protect themselves, their families, and first responders. Thank you. We'll open it up now to any questions you might have.
Mayor, can you tell us how many, you said specifically people were trapped in their houses and had the tags on their doors and stuff like that? Do you know how many were done, and also do you know how many people from the Palisades Fire populated there?
106 homes were contacted, again, through individual door knocks. Those individuals should have also received a warning, a text, the alert. So if you are in an area where there is an evacuation warning, you will have received it on your phone. If you live in one of the 106 houses that is ordered to evacuate, you will have been personally contacted on your cell phone, a door knock, and a door hanger if you were not there.
And then how many people have repopulated?
I don't know the numbers of people that have repopulated because, you know, there's our homes that weren't touched or were slightly damaged. The electricity is back on, but the water is not. And so even though the homes are there, I don't know if a lot of those individuals choose to go back until they have full water, which might be a couple of more weeks away. And frankly, because of the rain, that kind of delays the ability to make sure that the water is safe.
Mayor, if I may add, a lot of people have been wondering about the toxic debris that
Right.
remains in the burn zones. The runoff from this storm could be enormous. What is Los Angeles doing, A, keep it from the ocean, but also deal with it?
Right. Well, first of all, about that, we went through phase 1, and so phase 1 is completed, and the hazardous toxic materials have been removed. Doesn't mean that they're not some still there, but putting up the K-rails and the sandbags and the deployment that happened very early that the fire chief described, hopefully will prevent most of that.
You mentioned that there's a potential for a serious mud or debris flow flash flood, which we have seen can happen at a moment's notice.
Exactly.
What assessments are being done continually? Can you walk us through that? What's being done to make sure that we're monitoring the situation so that residents are notified in a timely manner that they can in fact evacuate and leave in time?
Well, I am confident that people have been notified. As a matter of fact, the notification started yesterday. So if you were in the area, you would have received an alert, like an Amber Alert, would have told you that you're in that area and it's an evacuation warning. And again, this morning you would have received that. But if you're in one of those 106 homes, you were told specifically. That's the fact that if the evidence was there, that there's a potential slide. That's why we went to the effort, and I want to commend LAFD and PD to going to the effort of individually contacting the homes.
Are there other teams that are going out assessing the situation throughout this?
Well, there always are, and the areas that we're primarily concerned about the slides is where the fires were, the burn area, the scar. And so that area is the area that we're concerned about, but there are a lot of individual homes that are against the hills where the mud can come down. Yes.
Thank you again. It looked like maybe there was, I'm talking about now the Sunset Fire, I saw some video of maybe some trees or some, it looked like maybe there had been some movement there in connection perhaps to the early part of this storm. Have you been told anything about that?
I'm not aware of that. Chief, are you aware of trees possibly coming down after the Sunset Fire?
I can just get quick. Just a brief statement on that. And I have not been aware of any significant mud and debris flow. But with that, you asked what are we doing as a city currently during the rains. We have active patrols. We have our firefighters patrolling up and down the areas that have been negatively impacted by the wildland fires and the burn scars. So that is an active patrol where we have eyes on. If we see any type of land movement, that's where we can immediately notify our dispatch and start to move and make modifications if needed to go from a warning to an order. Thank you.
Mind if I add? Oh, sure, please. And so I proudly lead the National Weather Service Los Angeles office, and we are monitoring radar, monitoring observations, all the gauges to get an idea about how much rain is going on right now, upstream, using all the cutting edge science. And we're in constant communication with our emergency management, law enforcement, fire agency partners, mayor's office as well, so that everyone has that as much heads up notice using the meteorology as possible about these potential impacts coming up in the near term. So we're round the clock. The team of individuals, the professionals I lead at National Weather Service are always watching 24/7 and communicating ahead of time. If we have an imminent threat, we issue a flash flood warning, which indicates that first indication that we're really seeing that threat ramping up. We're in communication with all of our partners as well, and then continue that. And we're actually on site here at the emergency operations centers as well. So it's a very unified effort to make sure that the driving weather conditions are being coordinated with all of our partners for decision making. Thank you.
Mayor, for people who are now facing evacuation orders or warnings right now, can you talk about any evacuation shelters or any other resources that might be in place to help them during this difficult time as they try to get out?
Sure, there is still one shelter open nearby, which is on Westwood Boulevard. But I will tell you that, well, actually not Westwood Boulevard, I'm sorry, it's a recreation center near Westwood. But I will tell you that experience from the fires, the majority of the people at the shelter were actually not necessarily residents. So people were able to find shelter elsewhere in hotels or friends, etc. Okay? Thank you very much. Is there one more question?
Yeah, I was wondering, should we be worried about getting in touch with the raw water rates?
I'm sorry?
They should be worried if they get in touch with water and clothes, metals in the rains.
Oh, in terms of the water being toxic? Well, I think that's always a concern, but one of the things that we hope is that people, especially if you're in that area, would be inside. So you're either on an evacuation warning or an evacuation order. I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything about that.
Very well stated.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Whoops.
Exactly. We already, as you can see, we already have light to moderate rain ramping up right now. Certainly minor flooding and shallow minor debris flows and mudslides, rock slides are a definitive possibility with a flood advisory in effect, but those most intense rainfall rates with the most organized activity, we're looking in the 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. time frame when the peak will be for the most significant flooding and burn scar, debris flows and mudslides and rock slides, sporadic damaging winds. Again, possibility, none of that comes to fruition, but that's the time period when we're expecting the most intense rains coming through.
Right, the wind bursts and
Exactly. Exactly, but a lot of uncertainty, and if everything ends up being on the low end, then that's a very fortunate situation to be in. We need to be vigilant, we need to be ready. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So we're going to have Spanish remarks?
Oh.
David Ortiz, vocero con el Departamento de Bomberos de la ciudad.
Good morning, everyone. From mud flows in our hills to our flooded streets, downed trees, and fallen power lines. We are